Yo, what's up? It's your boy L7. That's right. I got a show right here. We got our guest right here. Say what's up.
Hello! I'm also recording this. You are my guests, so we're both guests. That means we have no host.
That's awesome. Yeah. So just for my viewers, you know what I mean, a lot of them may be new. I was actually. It's funny how I got to know you, right? Yeah. I really hadn't. You actually did reach out to me, but I wouldn't really have known about you so much if Nico House didn't have your name in his mouth all the time. Yeah, that's pretty funny, right? So that's how I ended up, really coming more on my radar. So, sometimes things have unintended consequences. But why don't you introduce yourself to my audience?
Well, I am Andrea. My show is called Above It All. It's a daily, 7 days a week political show from 10 a.m. Eastern to noon. So I do 2 hours every single day. I also play video games. I like doing speed runs every now and then, though I don't as much as I used to. So I'm, mostly politics. I do some video games to chillax every now and then. And I like to consider myself funny. I like to consider myself charming. And I like to consider myself highly intelligent. And that is not satirical whatsoever.
You got Steam?
I do. I have Steam.
Maybe we'll set up for some co-game action, yeah? Actually, I've been trying to set up
if it's a good game?
Yeah, I've been trying to set up a game for like all the different, co-op games for all the different political organizations. Now the thing is that I represent, I guess I'm an independent operator. I have kind of like aligned myself, I guess, most closely with the Tulsi crowd. But politically, what group would you kind of maybe affiliate with? I see the Antifa flag in the background. Is that your number one thing? Is it the Bernie movement?
Yeah, I mean Bernie, sure. Anti-fascism, I think, is a prime directive for me. I consider myself an anarchist, an anarcho-communist, a communist, depending on who I'm talking to. I like to call myself a communist to trigger like Republicans, so. But yeah, that's kind of my form of thought. Very far left.
So you wouldn't put one in front of the other. You wouldn't put your anarcho-communism in front of your Bernie, because Bernie's kind of like through the system. Anarcho-communism may not be.
I think Bernie is a tool in the toolbox, and my prime organizational principle are the other things. So I considered Bernie to be the far left in the primary process, so that's who I supported. In 2024, if there's a similar situation, I'll support whoever's most to the left.
Cool. Okay. That's an interesting take. Now, also, there's another, just at the current time, there's a little split on, how people take AOC. For some reason, there seems to be some kind of division. Where would you stand on AOC?
I think AOC is a net positive. She's obviously not perfect. I think the idea that people will judge politicians on perfect or terrible, I think, is a little silly. Politicians are not there to solve our problems. They're there to listen to us. And so I think it's kind of silly to expect people like AOC to go in there and magically fix everything, rather than it's just an excuse to not do the work. And I feel like a lot of people that do go after AOC are they stay home, they're podcasters, they don't do the work, and they just want to have clicks to yell at AOC all day. Whereas I think if you want to yell at AOC for not listening to, let's say if there's a strike in her district and she doesn't attend it or she shits on it, yeah, go after her. But if she's not doing what you want from your little podcast bedroom, I'm sorry, I think it's a little bizarre. But I do think she's a net positive.
I think that was excellently said. I really couldn't say better myself. I actually take that role myself, because I am local here to New York City. I do see some of her work, as in terms of, work with the homeless community here and there and stuff like that, isn't really talked about. So, I will give a shine to that. And also, I can get more done locally with her, Look, I have a lot of powerful enemies as well, like Grace Meng from the DNC causing problems over here. So AOC could be a powerful ally. So that's cool. And it sounds like you're actually, from your words right there, you sound a little bit more politically seasoned, right? Yeah, you've learned to make compromises versus saying, oh, I have this global vision that needs to be enforced. So what kind of brought you to that kind of compromising vision was that something you developed over time, or how'd you get that?
I mean, I'm not a politician, right? At least not currently. So I will espouse my positions and I will not waver on my positions, right? But like, it's the politician's job to listen to my positions, and then it's their job to compromise. Now, again, I can accept that compromise, I can reject that compromise, but at the end of the day, I don't have that much say as an individual person. So as far as like, I'm just like, yeah, I guess I'm politically seasoned in that sense. I mean, I don't know. I've only really been active in this scene for like 3 or 4 years. Um,
Well,
but
let me tell
really,
you one way that you came to the forefront, right? Yeah. Now the thing is that in my community, because it's
sure.
kind of like being in Tulsi world a little bit, right? Yeah. I don't have infinite time to watch all the people out there. So yeah, I watch Nico House, I watch Combo Couch, Jimmy Dorian. You know the usual suspects. That's in my community. Yeah. Hey, whatever. It's all good. Yeah. But I'm there watching them, but none of them are helping me to cover this issue right here about New York City, about the mayor right here, which I think is out of control, has joined the establishment, right? And but you are actually willing to listen to me and help me to platform this and to get the message out. What puts you right? Yeah, right. You would think that this community. What puts you on the forefront of this? Why are you listening when others are not? What do you think?
Well, I come, a lot of my political origins come from organizing and activist stuff. So it's like, if someone like you comes at me and says, "Hey, I've seen a lot of stuff on the ground. No one's talking about it," to me, I see my role in that situation is to signal boost, right? Like, I can't, because of my location, right? There's not much going on here at the moment. There's a pandemic, and so I don't have the opportunity to organize on a personal note, like very efficiently or effectively. And so like, I feel like my role in the scenario is if someone else has the scoop, I'll amplify it.
I can't wait to
Um,
return the favor. Honestly,
sure.
something like that is how you really build working relationships, and I am fucking excited. Yeah, we said we're gonna
Sure.
show them
I
how it's
also just
done.
want to
I
say
can't
I
wait.
hate
Yeah,
Andrew Yang.
I will
I
put
hate
in
Andrew
work.
Yang. I hate his fans.
Oh damn. Okay. So well, okay, that's a little bit funny because hold up a second. Something's beeping at me. Okay, I got a lot of devices here. Anyways, yeah.
You're surrounded by
Surrounded by
TMSA. They're
by
listening
weird
to every word.
technology. What the maybe it's this thing, yeah? Okay, let me close this out. I'm so sorry. You know what it is? I think it's my Discord. I just have a new fresh I just did a fresh install on that computer right there.
Sure.
So I'm redoing it for as an audio computer, yeah. Anyways,
Sure.
so look, Andrew Yang right now, the thing is that but I was a fan of Andrew Yang too, yeah? So the thing is that I was actually doing a lot of work for him and this a group called Humanity Forward. But once again, right on the ground, the thing is that I found out that Yang has actually completely sold out to the establishment. And the thing is, you know who Grace Meng is?
I do not.
Okay, she's actually okay. So you know that probably the way that Tulsi became famous. I don't know if you actually saw back in 2016 when she actually stood up for Bernie and actually withdrew from the DNC, her vice chair position, to nominate Bernie Sanders. Do you remember that?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, you should watch it. It's a good watch, yeah? Anyways, yeah,
Sure.
so after that, who filled her place? It was Grace Meng, right? So the thing is, if you have someone who's kind of like a upstart, you definitely want to replace them with someone who you know who's going to toe the line. That's Grace Meng,
Sure.
yeah? So Grace Meng's in here. She's actually local to this area, and she's vice chair of the DNC, which is hugely problematic. Now here's the weird thing. I actually had a video about this on my channel. Andrew Yang promoted UBI. That's his signature deal, right? That's why he's there, right? Yeah? Grace Meng has never supported UBI, and in fact, when Andrew Yang first started, she tried to cut him down because they saw him as an outsider. But now, since Andrew Yang, right, he endorsed Grace Meng, even though her opponent supported UBI,
Really?
there's affiliated there's a group that Yang has officially called Humanity Forward, but then there's also Income Movement, right? Yeah, which was actually more related to the Burning People in the beginning. They existed back in 2016 before Andrew Yang came on the scene, but they also support UBI, so they're more like in the Yang camp now. You know what I mean? There's also another group that was called UBI for Congress or something like that. Yeah, I forgot exactly, but they basically died. They're basically gone. So the thing is that even though Income Movement had supported Mel Gagarin, right, whose campaign I actually worked to help with out here, actually what happened was that Mel Gagarin was promoted by Income Movement, but not promoted by Humanity Forward. There's another instance where a guy running for state assembly, which is how Grace Meng got her start, okay? They're trying to put someone else named Ron Kim. The thing is that Steve Lee, just like you said, I was working on the ground with this guy. The guy's next to me at some of the biggest events that we ran for Yang, including They Can't Burn Us All, with Will Lexham and, China Mac was there. Actually, it's funny because Eric Adams, who actually is running against Andrew Yang, showed up to show support for the Asian American community. Now they want to forget about that, you know what I mean? And Eric Adams, I guess he thinks he's being classy by not talking about that. But, I mean, do you want to win? You know what I mean? Are you ready to save us from the establishment takeover that's going on here? So the thing is that Stephen Lee can't get endorsed because they got to give Ron Kim daps. You know what? I've been in this activist game like you for a long time. I could honestly eat that if I have to. But you know what? Put something down the line for us. You know what I mean? Like maybe he could run for city council, something like that. Give us the tools that we can to institute some change. But guess what? There's another candidate they have named Sandra Ung. I have evidence on my computer right now that will show that it was already called that Sandra Ung would be the within the community that knows. We knew she was getting lined up, and my guy cannot get into city council because in all the positions they're using that web to install in New York City all these corrupt machine individuals. And honestly, the Bernie, you guys filled up Queensbridge Park. If you guys come out in force, you guys can help stop this. But you guys cannot let Andrew Yang become mayor. He's going to be the mayor of New York City, overwatching Wall Street, and he's completely in bed with look at his thing with his support for the Israel thing. That's kind of an establishment move right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me say that I've sniffed out Andrew Yang since when he first ran for president. I thought that he announced his run for president in like 2018, wasn't it? Like it was, or like maybe early 19.
But to his credit, didn't he say some anti-establishment things? He did call them out.
But the thing is, like, you have to look at these people's origin stories. Like he came as like a CEO of like some sort of like nonprofit or something, which tells me he knows how the game is played. So it's like, I feel like, especially, and maybe you can disagree, but I feel like Tulsi Gabbard is also in this kind of category where there's a lot of writing on the wall that obviously the classical establishment, like Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden wing of the Democratic Party, obviously that's on the way out, if not already out with this election in the rear view, right? So there needs to be like a new generation of establishment Democrats, right? Younger generation of establishment Democrats. And in order to the more populist kind of messaging is that kind of anti-war, like anti-establishment rhetoric, right? But when I first saw about Yang, what really upset me was his UBI plan, right? If you're going to run as a single issue candidate, right? UBI, really everything else, whenever you get asked on, it's like, oh, I'm not an expert or whatever. Like you said with Israel, he always said, well, I'm not an expert, but I support Israel or whatever. It's like, okay, nice question, Dodge, right? So if you're doing a single issue candidacy, why not make that issue the best possible version, right? Like Bernie Sanders, for example, campaigned on Medicare for all, right? Not Medicare for all who want it, not Medicare for America, not Medicare for some, not a public option. He campaigned on the furthest, like the best possible option. Whereas Yang's UBI plan, it had so many cuts to welfare programs. It had so many either you can be on disability or UBI kind of scenarios. He would go on shows like Dave Rubin or Ben Shapiro and kind of tell them that he purposefully watered down his UBI to get right-wing support. So I feel like that's just to me, that saw that this guy's not serious. He's doing something that is popular, right? And using certain rhetoric to position himself in a way so that he can just kind of be that newer kingmaker. That's the way I see it. And so from what you're telling me, what it seems like is he's just trying to position himself to be the kingmaker for the establishment in New York City. Would you say that that's correct?
That's an interesting take. Actually, when you talk about the one issue candidate, I agree with you and don't agree with you at the same time, which is kind of funny, right? So let's talk about that for a second. So the thing is that when you say that he's a one issue candidate, it's because I believe that was really a marketing ploy. He has many other ideas. Have you heard of something called democracy dollars?
Tell me more.
Okay. So democracy dollars is actually this idea that I actually like better than UBI. Actually, I really I do actually also see the possibility of the VAT tax as problematic, right? So we have to be careful about that whole implementation right there. But I believe that UBI was really just a kind of a Trojan horse to kind of let himself in. By saying that I'm going to give you $1,000 a month, it's a real conversation starter. So when you said before, right, that you felt like his one issue as in terms of, was kind of like marketing, I agree with you, right? But then you said that like you felt that he should make that the best version possible, but really it's just a way to like get in the door. You see what I mean? So he doesn't have to make it the best possible because he just wants to start the conversation so people take him seriously. So from that point of view, I think it's okay. And I do understand, like, coming from a more privileged background, he, and also other statements that he's made as in terms of like being locked down and just being with the kids and, struggling. That's his struggle, right? Versus people who are being like, ready to get evicted. It seems kind of tone deaf. He is lined up for that.
I just want to say shout outs to his like, confusion tour of New York City where he's like going into pizza places and like doing these bizarre photo ops that like I've never been to New York, but I've got a lot of friends that live there. Right. And everyone just tells me this is the most embarrassing thing you've ever seen. Like no one in New York speaks this way. No one and so like to me, it just feels like he's trying to position himself to be like whatever like works in a specific scenario,
He's playing the actually he's really managed by his team and controlled by his team. What was it? Erica, I forget her last name, but she's going to be coming up definitely big time. Zach. There's a whole crew that's I think Carly or something's her name. They've surrounded him and they do not allow him to interact with people outside of their bubble. They're like these consultants actually that I complain about in other things. They're actually controlling things behind the scenes. There's a whole when administration comes in, there's a whole administrative staff that stays. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Budgeters, things like that. And that's like the quiet government that don't know about, the machine that's quietly operating all the time, that's keeping their people in. So this whole, the Andrew Yang thing, being able to sniff him out in the beginning, look, I've been an activist for a long time, and it's very cool that I can recognize some of the things that you're talking about. It's cool that you're able to recognize some things here, and thank you so much for signal boosting. I appreciate it, right? But the thing is that people with Andrew Yang's background, he appeals to people who are also casuals, who do not speak our language, right? But they're, he presents a more, I guess, TV-friendly version, like sitcom version of what New York.
Said before, he's very marketable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he tries to market himself as, like, oh, that goofy guy who wants to give you money. Like, that debate that he went on, and, like, it was either at the beginning or the end. It was, like, sign up to my website, and I'll give you, like, I'll select random people for a free UBI. Look, he sounded like a game show host.
That's a marketing play right now to make him seem inevitable. You know what I mean? They ran a poll. Who took that poll? Their private followers, right? It seems like he's winning, right? Yeah, nobody's contesting this. You can see that I'm regularly tweeting, right, his opponents, telling them about problems in the campaign, but they don't want to seem confrontational. So, do they deserve to be mayor? Honestly, maybe nobody deserves to be mayor. They're all cowards who are really trying to play a political game versus, really suss out the truth for the public, which is, but thank you for, being one of the ones brave enough to kind of handle this issue.
I mean, I don't have a skin in the game. I don't live in New York City, right? But so it's like, for me, whatever happens, it doesn't affect me directly. But I mean, at the same time, again, I don't like Andrew Yang. So like, that's why this is interesting to me. And then two, like, obviously I care about, just people in general. And so if there is, like you say, like, he's trying to become a Trojan horse to install,
I have a laundry list of troubling things that I can reveal to you right now. Humanity Forward, actually, that organization that I told you about earlier, that's Yang's organization. There's a separate volunteer group called Humanity First Movement, yeah? There actually was a Humanity Forward Arizona that was started by a volunteer to thousands of dollars. It cost them to get themselves incorporated so they could run a 501c4. That's actually going to be a PAC, right, that can fund and engage in political activity. They lost so much faith in Andrew Yang that they actually, they don't want to say it, but, that group disintegrated. That group has dissolved. That's just the beginning of the problems, yeah? Then there's also some NDAs, right, at the beginning of the campaign. I hope Yang Gang's watching this. You know that I warned all of you about those dumbass NDAs because Some of us worked in 2016 on the Bernie campaign. Some of us are also connected, right, to people. They were also in the Tulsi campaign too. By the way, did you work with the Bernie campaign closely?
I was only a volunteer, so I just went to multiple states to do canvassing and like field work.
Did they make you sign an NDA or anything like that?
Nope.
You know that did you get to hang out with the delegates or anything like that? People who were
I
trying to
met a
become
couple,
delegates?
yeah.
Did you try to become a delegate?
Nah.
Okay, but you knew the people who were going to be delegates, right? Because they're the ones who were like
A
always.
couple, yeah.
Yeah. So did they tell sometimes like did they tell you about 2016 when they played games with the NDAs and did all this funny
I
business?
heard a
And
lot about NDAs in 2016.
yeah, and they increased it this time. They tried to put it into the now what they're trying to do is they're trying to put it in the caucuses, not just they're trying to install it at the caucuses so you can't talk about what happened there. It's like people are like, what the fuck is this? So
I
the
think
newbies at Yang,
anything
they had
like
no
I can
idea.
understand why someone doesn't want people to speak, but an NDA is not how you accomplish that. You accomplish that with trust in building a community, right?
Yeah.
The idea that our election process is going to have non-disclosure agreements just seems fishy to me. Whether it be the actual election process like caucuses or just the campaigns. Again, I understand why you don't want things to leak, but at the same time, if you don't want things to leak, what you need is a well-connected community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just so you know, yeah. I'm gonna tell everybody at Yang Gang, every single person that I talked about the NDA to, every single one of them violated the NDA to me. Yeah, every single one of them. Yeah, because it wasn't in their own interest. They couldn't. Yeah, because it would damage themselves, and it's just ridiculous. You stop signing things that just because the popular, the in charge people say it's the right thing to do. Have a fucking brain and do it for yourself. Yeah. So there's that, right? You'll notice that in the marketing materials now they're not using locals. They're using models or some kind of weird national, careerists. And so my guy Stephen Lee, right? He's been edged out of all these positions. And that's because they want to get their establishment people in. It's really disturbing. His whole marketing scheme, you're absolutely right about how he's trying to utilize the friendly. I can recognize it from working with these Democrat types so long. You know what I mean? They're milk toast, kind of not really fighting for it. You get what I mean? Do you think that AOC will end up, because it seems like he's part of the establishment? You said there should be a new, younger establishment. Do you think AOC is part of this new, young establishment? Because that's often an accusation made by people in my team.
I don't think AOC is part of that in any capacity. I think that she has shown that she's willing to compromise on certain things when a compromise needs to happen, but she also will dig her heels in at almost every single juncture. I think that what happened right after she and Ilhan and Rashida were sworn in, I believe in 2019, with Nancy Pelosi trying to basically say that Ilhan should be censured and removed from committees for her quote unquote problematic statements about Israel from 8 years ago or something, right? I think that the fact that they had each other's backs at that moment proves that they are willing to go against the establishment. One of their first things that they did in Congress was fighting against Nancy Pelosi. And then Nancy Pelosi triggered a bunch of racist attacks on her that Trump started using during the spring and the summer. So it's I think that they've proven that they're capable of weathering the storm. That doesn't mean that they're willing to hold out all the time indefinitely until the best thing is possible.
That's cool. Okay, so
yeah.
It's actually interesting, right? Because I feel like we have a mirror view, right? So whereas you're saying Tulsi could be a deep fake, you're saying that AOC could kind of be more the honest actor. And
Sure.
I guess I'm of the now. I actually I'm just gonna ask you to do this for me, right? I will entertain the possibility that Tulsi could be a deep fake. The thing is that nowadays, right? Yeah, she's a little bit quiet, right? That's some within my community, right? People a little bit restless about that. You know what I mean? They're she could be doing more.
I mean, most of what she's been doing is going on right-wing podcasts. Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, etc.
Well, the thing is that, right, I get that, and I agree with you. Actually, also another thing that's interesting is that, which I know I took down the original Rockfin video, but I will make this comment now, which I think is actually strange, right? You would think that with all her friends on Rockfin, right? Jimmy Dore, Kim Iverson, Nico House, and Combo Couch, right? You would think that she would join Rockfin, but she chose to go with Dave Rubin instead on locals.com. So there may be some kind of split going on. There may be some kind of political 40 chat. Who knows what's going on? But you're right, she's going on more right-wing shows. But I also feel like, because I was a Tulsi fan from, when she first announced, I did see that, left-wing media often I felt was being unfair to her. So, I don't feel like the right-wing also, they have certain things that they want to get from her too. So I feel like she's playing, she's just trying to do what's best for her, and when both situations are not really ideal.
Well, I think that there's also the situation where, again, I didn't see much of her Crowder appearance because, honestly, I can't stomach it. But
I get
she
that.
went on Crowder's show to talk about how, like, trans kids are invading sports, and it's, like, evil, and, like, the trans kids gotta be stopped, right? And it's, like, to me, again, if you're not even a congresswoman anymore, like, at this point, she doesn't have a job, right? If, like, you've got unlimited time on your hands to make the case for whatever political issue you want, if you're going on shows talking about the evils of trans kids, I mean, to me, it just shows that you're not a serious person. And that's just my take on it. Like, if she wanted to go on right-wing shows, right, and left-wing shows, and like you said, they're both giving pushback on a lot of things, she's being fair about it.
I watched some of those. I don't remember if it was Crowder, but I do remember one thing that she said was that, she did not actually use the word trans in the legislation itself, but, I get that, trans people will be heavily impacted by the bill, so that's kind of not really 100%, you still have legitimate concerns about the bill itself, which I think are 100% fair, yeah? I do think that she could have a more nuanced take, and I do agree that in our last I took down, which is available on your channel, and encourage people to watch that again.
Channel,
yeah, what's the name of before they take it down? I feel you. But you're also on Hive, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have the links below. Definitely. But shit, what was it talking about again?
You're talking about how Tulsi is terrible, and you're renouncing.
Yeah. Okay. Look. The trans issue. Maybe she could develop more on that. But we also agreed at our last conversation that it is logical for there to be some kind of rules in place, right, to protect the participants. So you had a separate idea where you were like, we could do it by weight class and also muscle density and things like that, right? A more nuanced approach, right? A more complete approach, which I think is, let's be real. Tulsi's not trans. She's not really part of that community. She's straight. She's a normie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And yeah. And being a normie, right? Yeah, being like being an Asian American male, right? How many racial groups have I joined that I knew had no real intent on helping Asian American males? That was never part of, right, the leadership's conversation. Let's help black and brown people. But I knew eventually one day, right, maybe not even in my lifetime, right, we got to fight for it, and eventually we can get there. So I think that she has made progress on this particular issue, right? Before she was actually saying straight up anti-gay stuff. She was against gay marriage, straight up before. You know what I mean? That was her original position. But as she got to know people, and I would say that's actually, unfortunately, normal for most kids even. Straight up.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I was one of the few people that did not go after her in any capacity for what her statements were before. I usually judge people by what they do, like, in office and what they do now. So, like, if she were to, like, in 2 years from now do a rehabilitation and say, like, yeah, I really fucked up on this and I was flirting with right-wingers too much and, I realized that that's the wrong way to go, I'll accept that, depending on F at the time,
Listen, I'm in the community, right? I'm in the community, and all communities have factions, right? Yeah.
Sure.
And I will work with you to, she's a generally open person. And I think that we can make I think we can make headway on this. I think we can make headway on this for real. Yeah. That's really
on my show. Let's do it.
Yeah. I think it was unfortunate also that the bill kind of just got squeezed at the end. I think that also, like, I've been part of like those kinds of legislative bodies as well. Do you think that would be the really last thing that she would choose to put on the thing? You know what I mean? The people at the House, right, when they decided like which bills were coming up today, they decided to give her a last FU at the end and said, oh, okay, Tulsi, we're going to make you go out on this. Good luck, asshole. Goodbye. You know what I mean? What's she going to do? Say she doesn't stand up for the bill that she wrote? You know what I mean? It's her last FU to Tulsi.
That, yeah.
Huh?
I can see that as a possibility, like just lobbing her.
You think? I mean, who? You know what I mean?
Poorly, regardless.
Yeah, like, have you ever seen her do anything that dumb before?
I could probably come up with some examples, but
let me hear it. Yeah, because honestly, she's been to me, she's really impressed me with her intelligence, right? So, and her foresight. So to make a move like this, right? Yeah, it seems like a setup to me.
Well, what's also important to note is that she basically copied the legislation from Kelly Loeffler in the Senate. So that's another thing. She barely even wrote the bill. She just like kind of presented it in the House.
That's good that you actually mentioned that. There may be some, right, there are some new reach outs to the Republican Party, quite a few. There may be some type of like motion in the background. There's some debate whether she should join the Republicans or not, you know what I mean, within my community, right, because they feel so betrayed by the Democrats about the way that they straight up, you know, at the end, you know, they lied and said she wasn't running when she was and things like that. You know about that?
No.
No? There's video evidence of that. I have that on my channel. There's like there's huge, yeah.
Well,
so
yeah, we can talk about that, but let's try to get back onto the Yang thing.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's kind of the central topic here.
I do appreciate that. Yeah, I was feeling that myself, to tell you the truth. Yeah. So look, the Yang Gang will ensure a new era of political power for the establishment. And let me tell you why it's so important in New York City right now. The thing is that New York City Council, because of term limits and because of the way that the calendar works, there's like a rotating cycle for city council. This year, a majority of the city council seats will flip. Not only that, but there will be actually 2 or 3 cycles where there will be a chance to get it right. So even if the left screws up, they will have another chance to reset the board within the next 2-3 years. So not only is the mayor going to get set for quite some time, but also the city council. That means true control of the city is up for grabs right now. And nobody's talking about this in my community. Why do you think my community's like, you know, isn't picking up my story? They're just talking about...
I don't know. Do you know that many New York podcasters or media people?
There is Status Quo. You know, I know my community isn't really thrilled about him for other reasons. Are you familiar with him? I think his position would be more similar to yours.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to him a few times. You know.
Oh, really?
You know, I don't know him that well. But
I'm tagging everybody. Yeah, I'm going at everybody. I'm tagging NYC DSA. I got connects in there. I'm interviewing every single candidate who's running for office. A lot of them are scared. A lot of them are scared to talk to me because they know my anti-Yang position, and they don't want to line up with what looks like to be a potential winner. But then, are you really fighting for the people? We're going to find out right now. There's plenty of months to go.
Yeah? I don't know the details of the New York City race and all the fields of candidates, right? But, I can understand people making that pragmatic decision and trying to line up early to maybe see if they can grab a bite at the apple themselves. And that's really what the big problem with politics is that you have people that hold grudges. If we could just have a race, and at the end of the race, the winner's the winner and everyone's still friends, or even, they don't hold things against each other, the world would be a much better place. You know what I mean? But because people are afraid, if I back the wrong candidate, the next 5 years of my life might be fucked up or whatever, you know? People are just trying to, cover their own ass more than everyone else. And that really creates just such an unhealthy and corrupt dynamic, not just in New York City, but just everywhere.
I have the exact same, I literally say that, right? Yeah? In the video where I have on Grace Meng, I say, why would they support Grace Meng? Are they trying to say, they're either saying, A, that Grace Meng is the type to hold a grudge, right? Yeah? So it's funny that we see things, that's awesome, yeah? I'm really looking forward to working with you. Now, you've helped me on this. How can I help you? What are there any issues that are working, you know? I like to put in work for my people. Are there any issues going on that I can help you with?
I have many issues that I would say I solely focus on at the moment.
Can I just dip into something that I've just been, you've been on my mind, Andrea. What's up? Is that all right to say? Yeah?
All right, okay. All right.
So look, the thing is that there's different issues that I could talk about, right? Coming from the Asian American community, right? Coming from Korean American, that I'm just, experiencing differently from others. You know what I mean? Now, as in terms of like the Asian American community, I'll tell you straight up that there's no actually Asian American activists that are really doing it right now, and I'm really disappointed by all of them. And I don't really look up to anybody in my particular community as in terms of a leader. Yeah. What about you're come from, I guess, the trans community, right? Yeah. Now the thing is that being a street dude and one who like looks out for the bottoms, you know, I know often that trans people are treated the worst of the worst. They are often a community that's, you know, people want to talk about racial. Goddamn, trans justice is really, those people really have it hard. Yeah. So, are there any activists? I want to learn more about it. Who could I, or is there someone? Or
I would say that there's definitely an absence in leadership, similar to what you mentioned. Like recently, over the last election cycle, we had a bunch of like state senators and state legislators that were elected that are trans. But like one of the problems with a lot of the most popular trans people is a lot of them are Republicans. Like you look at like Caitlyn Jenner, for example. You could look at like Buck Angel. Some of these like kind of really classic trans icons are just Republicans, and they're kind of like in it for themselves. They don't really care about anybody else, right? They just want like their basic human rights and then fuck everything else, right? Whereas like again, like you mentioned, trans people are one of the most discriminated against in the country. Like during the Trump era, you know, like Ben Carson being Secretary of HUD would enable basic discrimination against trans people. So like, if any public housing wanted to say, hey, you're trans, that's kind of icky, we don't want you in public housing, stay homeless, they would stay homeless, right? Trans people are routinely, and you know, queer people of all kind are routinely thrown out of their home, disowned by their family.
And even when they pass the laws, they find a way to kick them out anyways.
Yep. And then like, so like, you know, you have a situation where, you know, not a lot of parents are going to get rid of their kid for being a certain race because chances are all the people in that family are of similar race, right? You know, but like, you know, a lot of families, especially in the South, will kick their children out for being queer, coming out as gay or, you know, trans or whatever, right? They will kick their children out. And that creates this like extreme problem of homelessness, of people being, you know, like, especially from young ages, like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, especially in this economy, especially in this pandemic, right? Yeah, sure, you're 20 years old, you're technically an adult, right? But there's a pandemic going on. Have fun getting a job, especially while being trans, right? Have fun getting a job while being trans in the South.
You know, so like, what the things you're talking about right now, right? These are the kind of things that I want to learn more about. So you're right. A lot of the mainstream media, they're going to prop up someone like a Caitlyn Jenner, like a celebrity, right? Yeah. Who may not have fought for trans rights, right, for a long time, be able to like discuss, right, some of the deeper issues, maybe like you can, or other, right? Is there anybody else that I could tune into, or maybe we should start having more discussions on those things? You know what I mean? I'd be down for that.
I would say I don't pay attention that much to everything. I try to keep myself, dip my toes in as many different things as possible. But I've definitely noticed a lack of leadership on this within like trans activists. And I don't think it's because any trans activists are not doing their part. I think it's mostly that a lot of us aren't getting the time and space to break out in any sort of capacity to where we can get like a lot of recognition, right? So I don't think it's necessarily from lack of trying. I think it's just from lack of the available resources to even get to that point.
Hey, wait, quick question, yeah? Do you know, have you heard of someone named, he's a Bernie guy too, Socialist MMA or Fly Tie MMA? Nick?
I've heard of them, yes.
Oh, you know him? Yeah? He actually, I think, he's a burner guy too as well, and he actually has a trans person on named Enigma, and he's got a huge platform. We might be able to really start a conversation on this and really get something cooking here. Remember we said we're going to show them how it's done? This is a very underserved community, and I would be proud, and I'm willing to help out on this. And, you know, it's people also come at me with this Asian American thing, you know what I mean? And then sometimes I'm like, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, because their conversation about it is just so uninteresting to me, or they're trying to be nice, I could tell, but it's not really, you know, something that I'm looking for or need. So I don't want to like do that to you either, you know what I mean? But if you're interested in a project like this, I'm totally down to like, you know, put in my time and contribute in any way that I can towards this type of thing.
I'm willing to organize with anyone that's willing to organize with me. So, you know, cool. That's kind of my perspective.
That or anything else.
Wants to organize, yeah, I'm down. You know, obviously I'd like to, you know, get to know people first, and, you know, if there's problems involved or like, you know, whatever, I'd like to get that handled.
Nick's all right. Yeah, we need to get closer, man. Nick, it's been a while, buddy. What's up, man? Socialist MMA. What's up, kid? Wait,
Censored once again.
wait, I lost you for a second. Yeah, wait, I lost you. Wait, where did your screen go? Okay.
Back on?
Yeah, I lost you for a second. Wait, you just appeared back on. I gotta move you back over here. I gotta make you big again. Now I gotta click
I feel like
somewhere.
Socialist MMA just censored you.
He did, right? Yeah. Listen, the establishment's watching. They don't want us to work together. Wait, how do I, wait? My camera shut off. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Now I
click
just see.
the button.
Do you see my logo?
I see it. You just gotta click the button.
Okay. I changed the thing. Okay. I'm turning on the camera. Okay. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I'm back. Okay. Shit. So. Yeah, it could be that or other issues. Actually, I want to work with you on a whole shit ton of issues. You said you're from where again? You're from North Carolina? Yo, I got some people in North Carolina. My boy, Vigilant Independent is with the Libertarians down in South Carolina. Libertarians could be a power add, right, as in terms of like making things happen. So, I'm
very
fucking excited.
skeptical of libertarians, but again, I'm willing to organize with anyone that's willing to organize with me. So it's like it's got to be mutually beneficial. You know, we got to be on good terms. I would prefer not to organize with people that secretly hate me and vice versa. You know what I mean? Because we got to have that comfortable environment.
I feel you on that. I feel you on if people being fake, you know what I mean? I'm not really going to tolerate that. But the libertarians and stuff, look, if they really have a problem, they got a problem. But this dude that I know is cool. And also, right, you might think that it's weird because they have this kind of like, we don't want government at all. So you might be like, how can they develop a policy that will protect us, right? Yeah. When they don't take care of, when they don't want any rules. But the thing is that actually it's interesting being anarchist. A lot of people, I feel like in the burning community, right, they do not really understand anarchists as much, right? They're kind of like a smaller subgroup within that community. Sure. But anarchists answer a very valid question of how do you protect the rights and interests of minorities, right? You could have a majority that's, you know, oppressive against a minority group and it's still democracy, it's still socialism. So, you know, we have and libertarians kind of also share that with anarchists and protect the rights of true minorities, which you definitely are. You know what I mean?
I mean, again, I'm very skeptical of most libertarians, but yeah, I mean, like, again, it is really the goal of anarchism is to establish a society without hierarchies, right? So if you establish a society without hierarchies, there's no such thing as a minority because there's, you know, everyone's on equal terms. Right, so like that's the kind of grand vision, right?
Of libertarianism?
Of anarchism, libertarianism.
Okay.
You know, we can pontificate on that at another point. Maybe get a libertarian on the phone.
Yeah, but that anarchy thing is not truly attainable, right?
I wouldn't say it's attainable overnight. That's a long-term project. It could be in our lifetimes.
You think we can get rid of social hierarchy, really?
Give us like 500 years, and I think so, yeah.
Well, I mean that's cool. I think that's impossible though. I think it's also partly biologically wired within us. And is it right for us to do so?
I tend to disagree.
Does it have any use?
What? Getting rid of social hierarchies?
Social hierarchy, yeah.
I think so. I mean, well, social hierarchy just means that like one person has authority over another.
Exactly.
Right? Like you can delegate, like I'll take the example of the World Health Organization, right? You know, these are like some of the top medical doctors in the world all working together to try to
top sellouts.
You know, but you know, the whole idea of having an organization of medical experts from across the world is a good idea. Does it mean that they should have power over our lives and should tell us what to do or else? I don't think so. But we have to be open to, like, again, I'm not a doctor. Right? I'm not going to be a doctor. Does that mean I shouldn't listen to doctors? No. It means that we should have the ability and the trust in one another as humans to delegate those tasks, right? To say like, oh, you're good at plumbing. I don't know plumbing. Well, you're the plumber. Like, you know, I'm the gardener. We can have an exchange here, right? And I think that we can do that on a grand societal level. I don't think we can maybe do it in your lifetime or my lifetime, but I think given 500 years combined with automation, technological improvements, that would get rid of a lot of like things like menial tasks, manual labor, that kind of stuff, right? I think with a lot of that, I think we could have a society that's completely without hierarchy.
Social hierarchy is actually a valuable tool that can be used in the classroom setting, that can be used for instruction for children, right? Or people who are like...
I wouldn't classify that as a hierarchy. I would say that you're the child, you're here to learn. That person is the teacher. Like, I don't necessarily think that that means that they're better than the kids. I mean, they've been alive longer. They've got things to, they've got wisdom to instill.
Well, social just means community, right? Yeah. So, as in terms of like, saying like prestige level, or maybe like, level of being accepted as a human, right? Yeah. Often, right, people, we're not treated as human beings, which is really whack, right? But as in terms of social hierarchy, the pure definition, right? Like, so I guess we're really trying to like really hone in on the specifics there.
I would say it's more so in terms of like authoritative capabilities. Like, we don't need a president that says, I declare this drug illegal, and if you use it, you go to jail.
What happens like if I go off and just start shooting people in the face? The government has the right to be able to kill me.
I mean, that's a complex question. I think you forfeit your rights to participate in society when you start to damage society for no reason. And society has the right to defend itself. So
I might have a reason, but that reason might not be accepted by society, and society has the right to defend itself.
Sure, yeah. But I think that we can find ways in a society to prevent you from going ahead and shooting people. Like, if you, like, a lot of crimes, right, are committed because of desperation, right, because of threats of starvation. Right, a lot of people are sent to jail because they, rob people because they have no other ideas or, methods of, employment or, whatever, right? And we have cultures around kind of propagating those ideas.
Maybe I'm mad because that girl didn't like me, so I'm gonna go out and get mad and shoot people. You know what I mean? Like, there's how are you gonna solve that with socialism?
That's a complex question.
You're
I
not.
don't think we can do that right now. Like, that's the thing.
You're not.
It's like,
yeah.
The society that I'm talking about is something that is achievable via technology and in the future. Like, these are problems that we're plagued with right now. I think the closer we get to achieving the socialist future, the more that we'll have to work with to have these discussions. So right now, I'm more concerned with defunding police so that they stop, occupying certain neighborhoods, poorer neighborhoods, mostly like people of color. They don't need to have 8 patrol cars in black neighborhoods. They don't.
It's quite amusing, right? Yeah, because the thing is that some of your harshest critics on like from my side, right? Yeah, say the exact same things as you because they're also fans of socialism. So it's kind of funny to hear like you repeat to me, right? You're repeating their talking points, yeah, and it sounds like you two have more in common, which is hilarious, yeah. So it's funny to watch this in real time, yeah. I guess you get what I'm talking about, right?
I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, like, I make a lot of enemies because I don't care about forging, like, manufactured relationships in media spaces, right? I think a lot of people in media spaces will play the game. I think that they will say things they don't mean to get ahead. I think that they will hold back criticism of, fellow media people to get ahead, to, like, try to ride off of their fan base. Me personally, if someone says something stupid, I will say, I think that's stupid, right? That doesn't mean you're canceled. That doesn't mean I hate you forever. It means I want you to change your opinion because your opinion is pretty fucking stupid. Whereas a lot of people are afraid to do that. And I think it's similar to what you said with regards to Yang, to wrap this conversation up, in a nice little bow tie. But I think a lot of people in general are just afraid to speak out against people for fear of, grudge holding. Like, again, a lot of people hold grudges against me, right? I don't really hold grudges against anyone. If someone wants to reach out and say, like, we got off on the wrong foot or whatever, let's try to work it out, I'm willing, right? But a lot of people aren't. And I think that that's a big problem when it comes to just society in general. And I think we as a species are capable of moving past that. Do I think it's going to happen in our lifetime? I'm not convinced. But I think give 500 years, maybe 1,000, right? I do think that we can grow out of grudges. I do think we can get over some of this stuff.
Yeah, and I want to apologize for some people that that are in a community that I affiliate with. I'm going to definitely say it's not all of them. You know what I mean? Definitely some of them are vocal about being displeased, whatever. But that's not what I stand for. You know what I mean? So don't think that applies to all of
I don't.
That
I'm
group.
Just saying
you know what I mean?
It's like a generalized. I don't want to name names here, so it's just a generalized statement.
I get that, yeah, and right, she's not naming names, and I get that too, yeah, because the thing is that it's not about, we're not about going to war, hurting people, right? We will not say things just to be, to to try to be a human being, but we're not doing it for reasons of self-gain or, you know, trying to make some kind of political calculation. We just come in real with it. So that's fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing more content with you. I think we can make some real good headway. Yeah, I'm gonna tweet you and Nick in a hot moment, and let's see if we can make some headway on that particular issue. Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
We will.
I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
But yeah, do you want to wrap up this recording here?
Yeah, I'm thinking about wrapping it up. Really, as in terms of the Yang stuff, the conversation is just getting started. I don't know if you've seen my MPP Duncan video, right?
I've seen a little bit of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little. That thing is fantastic. Do you like that kind of stuff?
Send me the video and I'll check it out again.
You didn't see the one with Michael Jordan dunking on Nick Brown and all that shit? You've been missing out, girl. You don't even know, yeah?
I miss everything. I'm so busy.
Yo, there's gonna be a Yang Gang. Yo, Yang Gang. I know you're watching this. Yo, there's a version on you coming out real soon. Yeah, so stop fucking around. Yeah, I'm right good at your boy. All right, that's how I'm gonna end it. Yeah. All right. I'll see you. Watch the video. It's fucking slamming. You're gonna have a fucking great time.
Send me a link. I'll check it out.
Enjoy the ride. See ya.
All right.
It's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent. The truth must be told.
And if you want the truth, you need to check out independent media producers just like myself, DJ L7. You should subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video.
The truth of these
we
words
are on all
is
the major
beyond
platforms.
doubt.
That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Unfortunately, we have definitely seen that these mainstream outlets will cave to corporate interests, so we encourage you to join our independently moderated communities of Reddit and Discord. We also encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute and Dailymotion so you can see the content that YouTube doesn't want us to let you see. Hey, now it's time for the most important part of the video. That's right. It's time for us to tell you about the Taking Action Group. Do you need an activist? Or maybe there's no activists around willing to help you with your cause and you need to learn to become an activist. That's exactly why we're here. Every week we get up with people from across the nation, in fact even sometimes internationally, and we develop strategies and a game plan to address the issues that are affecting all of us. Every week myself from New York City and of course my co-host Lisa from Los Angeles provide a coast-to-coast perspective on what's going on in the country. If you want to donate to help out with expenses, travel, equipment, stuff like that, then I definitely appreciate it, and you can hit us off at Venmo or PayPal. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, we also have a merch store, so check it out. Oh my goodness, it seems like you've reached the end of the video, so make sure you check out some of our other videos. Make sure you subscribe. This is your last chance to do so thanks a lot. And looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below if you have any questions or issues you'd like me to address. And if you're an activist, the time to make things happen is now.